Senator Rand Paul is joining us now on the phone. Senator, we had just heard one report that you were there at the park this morning.
I was. I was out in the batting cage in right field when the first shots came. The first shot was kind of an isolated shot, and everybody kind of looks up and says, "Hey, what's that?" And you know, I grew up in the South, and it's not that uncommon to hear somebody hunting a shotgun. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm not really in the South. I'm in the city. But before we could think too much, people didn't drop down with the first shot. People thought, well, they weren't sure what it was, but it did sound like a gunshot, and it was pretty loud and pretty close. But then after that, we heard a succession of shots, 5, 10, 15 shots in a row. Steve Scalise, Representative Scalise, was at second base, so I'm way out in right field, and I'm outside of the fence, about a 10-foot fence where I am, and outside it. And so he goes down, but is moving and is crawling towards the outfield. There was 2 staff members on this other side of this 10-foot fence, and I'm behind a tree now, right next to the batting cage, and I'm seeing shots skipping off of the warning track right around these two.
Were the shots all coming from one place, Senator?
Well, that's a strange thing. At first, you're not sure. My instinct was they were coming from the third baseline, and I couldn't see the shooter, but I wasn't positive. Am I standing on the right side of the tree or the wrong side of the tree? And I'm looking around trying to determine if there's one shooter or 2 shooters. But the shots appear to be coming from third baseline, and then the more shots that were fired, there ended up being at least 50 or 60 shots fired. And at that point, people were dropping, and at least one of the staffers may have been hit in right field, and another one, I said, "Do you want to try to get out?" And all of a sudden, he was up, and he was over the 20-foot fence in about 2 seconds. And I've never seen anybody climb a fence that fast in my life. And he came tumbling over the other side. We were behind the tree, and the shots were continuing. And I think he was reloading. And at that point, you know, a burst of more gunfire came. And so he and I were discussing, you know, what to do. And I felt like my instinct was that he was moving and that he could just move around the entire field and shoot everybody. And so at that point, we decided to make a run for it. And he was hitting the dirt around us out in right field. So it was a risk to stay and a risk to go, but we chose to go ahead and make a run for it. We had to climb a couple more fences at that point to get out.
Could you actually see the shooter, or were you just seeing the shots? Did you get a good look at who this person was?
At first, I'm seeing only the shots, and I'm pretty far away. I'm in right field outside of the ballpark. This guy is outside the ballpark on the third baseline near the dugout, and I think he's using the dugout, the edge of the cinder block of the dugout as cover. But everybody say he's got a blue shirt, and people were able to see him. I can't say that I ever saw him, but it felt like he was shooting a rifle, and people were saying it sounded like an AR-15. But so he had a rifle. He was hitting people from a long way away, and excuse me?
No, sorry. And Senator, where did you go next? You say you just made a run for it?
Well, we were there for probably, I don't know, it seemed like forever. What we finally heard was the Capitol Hill police returning gunfire. And these guys were real heroes, and without them, I think everybody would have been killed.
My goodness. I mean, yeah, it's and you did have the security detail there. Normally, you don't go with the security detail, but it seems like had they not been there, the shooter would have had free rein.
Well, Steve Scalise is in leadership, and that's the only reason there was security detail there at all. So it's, you know, sad that he was shot, but he actually saved everybody's life by being there because he had the 2 security details. And I'm telling you, I don't know what happens if no one's returning fire, because even with 2 professionals returning fire, they were both shot. Both the Capitol Hill policemen were shot, and yet one of them, I'm told, even being shot in the end, was still protecting Scalise at the end.
Wow. And can you just tell us who was this practicing this morning? This was the entire Republican team?
Yeah, we have a charity game we play each year, the Republicans versus the Democrats. And there's probably 15 or 20 of us out there, mostly congressmen, a couple of senators, and then the Democrats do the same thing at their field. And then we meet every year. We were supposed to play in National Stadium. It's fast pitch, baseball. Everybody wears the uniform of somebody, like a team from their state. My city has a college, Western Kentucky University. I wear their uniform. And, it's a great thing. My dad used to always say it was one of the best bipartisan things that we do in Congress is kind of getting together outside the legislature and, playing America's pastime.
Well, sir, we're glad you're okay. We see there the video right there of Congressman Scalise being taken away on a stretcher. It appears to be conscious right there. We were told he was shot in the hip. Were you, Senator, before I let you go, were you able to see if anybody, as we do see Congressman Scalise there being taken into the helicopter, anybody treating Congressman Scalise, or had you left the scene by then?
When the Capitol Hill police started returning gunfire, and it appeared that the shooter may have been advancing around behind home plate and coming in our direction, that's when we decided that without a gun we weren't much good. We were too far to help the wounded. The wounded were both in the dugout and inside a 20-foot fence, and Scalise was shot around second base, and he crawled a little bit into the outfield. But unfortunately, we were too far away, and there was still, automatic fire coming towards us. So we at that point we jumped a couple of other fences and ran towards the street.
Senator, thank you for your time this morning. We're glad you're okay. Of course, we're all praying for Congressman Scalise.